those situations where you're in a meeting with somebody or you're talking to somebody and for some unknown reason, the other person just explodes. It's very intimidating, maybe, causes a lot of confusion. You don't know why it's happened. Or what about if it was you? You could be in a situation where somebody just says something to you in a certain way, and then before you know it, you explode as well. Now, this can obviously be very disconcerting for a lot of people, probably everybody concerned really, because it causes confusion, stress, and or conflict or disconnection for the future. Now, although a lot of people will say that that person's a psychopath or they're a narcissist or whatever it may be, I believe it's just that there's a part of our self-expression which is being blocked in that moment in time, and this is what I call the dead zone. Now, obviously, we experience this, for example, in road rage, when if you ever see that online or you may have ever experienced it yourself, somebody's quite calm, then they just seem to explode. So what I mean by the dead zone is, to give you an analogy, imagine here we've got a scale of 1 to 10. So this is our levels of self-expression. So we've got level 1, level 2, level 3, or 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%. We don't express at level 0, obviously, because we're not doing anything, but level 10 or 100%, we are completely expressing ourselves. Now, that might be really expressing ourselves, say, doing a stage talk with passion, or it could be aggression and conflict, or even violence. Now, that's the area that we're going to talk about here in the dead zone. So why does this happen? Why is it that somebody goes from nothing to everything all at once? Well, going on the theory that when we are young, we learn a lot of behaviors. And for example, we've got this 1, 2, 3 all the way up to 10. Now, if you imagine when a person was younger, they were allowed to express themselves to level 1, level 2, level 3, or 10%, 20%, 30%. And they did do. But then if they expressed themselves past level 3 or 30%, they were maybe punished or told off or sent to the room or ignored. But they would maybe see other people expressing themselves in the family home or at school past level 3, but they weren't allowed to. So what a child will do is, if something means pain, especially around adults, they will back away because it's a protection program. Now, obviously, some people will still carry on trying to express themselves when they're younger, but usually if it means pain, they will try to shut themselves down because it's the most protective way. The content or information in these videos is for educational and informational purposes only, but that's only half the equation, because this is where the dead zone starts to build. So we've got external expression. We express ourselves to a level 3, we've been punished, so we stop expressing ourselves. So if you imagine that 20 years later, a person might still be in that cycle. They express themselves to a level 3 and stop there. But what happens is, that's the external expression only. What we've got to know now is take into the internal expression. So if you imagine here, we've got another column, and that is exactly the same. It's 1 all the way up to level 10, or 10% up to 100%. So if you imagine, a person might stop expressing themselves at level 3, but internally, if the external pressure is still forcing itself into their boundaries and trying to cross their boundaries, their internal expression, their frustration, their anxiety, their stress will still be building. A person, say, pushes them, or they feel overwhelmed by anxiety, whatever it may be, they might go to level 4, level 5. However, they're still only externally expressing themselves to a level 3. And then the stress builds and the pressure builds, and then they go up to level 4, level 5, level 6. Inside, they're going to explode. But again, they're still only expressing themselves to level 3 externally. However, when it builds up to level 7 or 70%, 80%, then the physical stress that person's going through overwhelms that part of their mind that wants to stop and play it safe and be a good person, just comes spewing out all at once. Now, their expression at level 8 is exactly the same as it would have been if they'd have externally expressed level 4, level 5, level 6, and so on. The only thing is, though, to the person externally from them, so if you imagine you got person A and person B and person A stops expressing at level 3 and then is internally building level 4, level 5, level 6, level 7, and then to person B, they see them going from level 3 and then exploding at level 8. So then person B is very overwhelmed, confused, and don't understand why there's this been sudden shift of energy. But what person B hasn't been understanding is that for whatever reason it may be, that person A has been building up all this internal pressure, but felt maybe guilty or ashamed of expressing itself, maybe because of a prior belief that they should be a good person or that they might get punished if they express themselves. So then, if we look at it through the theory of the dead zone is relating to that part from number 3, or 3 out of 10, all the way up to 8. Because to person B, they haven't been expressing themselves, so they see themselves expressed to level 3, and then suddenly at level 8. But if you ever find yourself in this situation, or it could be with yourself, you might find that you're really, really calm and then just suddenly explode. What we're not doing is looking at what's going on the inside. Why? Because when we've been punished, or when we've been told off or rejected in some way for expressing ourselves, that then can become a trauma-based belief. And then what we do is we try to suppress that trauma-based belief. So somebody could be pushing our boundaries, and then we go, I've got to stay nice and calm because if I don't, I'm a bad person. And we got those memories of when we may have been punished in the past. So we stay at level 3, but then suddenly explode to level 8. Now, there are so many different angles that I can go into with this. A lot of what I focus on, and I've got a full course on it if you're interested in it, is all around emotionally manipulative behavior. And this is one of the tactics that people using emotionally manipulative behavior will use. If they understand, they may not consciously understand it, but if they understand that there is a person that is trying to hold it together, they're feeling frustrated on the inside, but they don't externally express that, what the person using emotional manipulative behavior might do is start to push and push and push. And then when that person explodes because they can't handle it anymore, that's when the person using emotional manipulative behavior will turn around and say, you're weird, you're strange, there's something wrong with you, you're a narcissist, you're a psychopath, you're a sociopath. But it was all orchestrated. Now again, in my belief, most people using emotional manipulative behavior don't understand that they're doing it. They're trying to control because they feel overwhelmed themselves. If you've ever experienced this yourself, or you've experienced another person doing it, feel free to share your thoughts, because I always find when more people join into the conversations or communication, it can help everybody grow. And as I always say in every video, you never know, your comment might change somebody else's life for the better forever.